Professional YouTuber vlog day 148. Okay, don't hold me to this. I have no idea if this is gonna stick, but I've been working on a way to like keep my house clean for a really, really long time. And I think that I finally found a way to do it. And I just want to say, if you're trying to figure out a system or something that works for you, what I really think it takes is three things. One, not giving up. Like when it doesn't work the first or second or third or 14th time that you try a new system, and go like, this is just hopeless. I'm never going to be able to do this. Like, right. You're able to grow as a person. You might find a technique that works for you eventually. I'm hoping I found a technique that works for me. Again, too soon to tell, but I think it requires two other things. The second thing is the willingness to let go of how it should be done or how other people do it. Because if you keep trying to hold on to that, you're going to keep trying to do it in a way that doesn't work for you, has never worked for you, and you're just telling yourself that it should because, again, it works for other people, or like you read it in, I mean, for me, sometimes it would be like, well, this is an ADHD-friendly tip. Why can't I do it? I have ADHD. Well, everybody's different, right? So the third thing that I think it takes is an understanding of your brain. And then, like, I don't know, maybe there's a fourth thing, which is just like a coincidence or magic or something. Anyway, so do that. What happened was Edward was talking to me yesterday, as he does. And Edward, I don't know if you guys have ever had the pleasure of chatting with Edward at length, but that's one of the things he does is he's just a very in-depth, insightful person. And he will chat about really engaging topics for just an extended period of time. Like, has no concept of like, we should not do that anymore now. Like, the transitioning out of really engaging conversations is not a thing that he does, really. And so usually I'm the one ending them going, okay, we have to do things. Like, we got to get stuff done now. Well, it just happened to be a particularly engaging conversation. And I was like, you know what? Let's go with it. Hey, how about we clean while we talk? You know, like, how about that be a rule? Like, if we're going to have like hours long discussions about stuff, let's clean while we talk. Yesterday I did it and it worked really well. And I barely noticed that drudgery and tedium of like, oh God, I have to wash another dish. And today Edward joined in because he thought that was a good idea. And we got the freaking whole, almost the whole house clean and barely noticed it. Well, except for that part by the door, but, and barely noticed it.
Very small part.
So like, yeah, this was a real mess like 2 days ago. And now it's like, oh, people live here and it's not embarrassing if somebody comes over. Right? And it wasn't a big deal. And I was telling Edward, like, this makes sense to me and it sticks because I know that that it's not that cleaning is hard for people with ADHD. It's that doing things that are tedious and monotonous, it's almost like torture. Like, it almost physically hurts to have to do things that don't engage your brain, that are understimulating, right? And so you find a way to add that stimulation. And there are many different ways to do that. You can put a podcast on. You could call a friend. You could turn it into a game, right? Gamify it. One of the things that I like to do is set a timer for 5 minutes and clean one room of the house. And then as soon as the timer goes off, doesn't matter what you're doing, drop it and go to the next room. And what'll happen is your brain will tell you, wait, I wasn't finished. And so it'll want to keep going. And it's a way to like get yourself to go for longer than you normally would because your brain never gets that sense of completion. But you go through all the rooms and do that like twice, and it makes a huge difference. So these are all different techniques, but they all address the same issue, which is we need stimulation. We can't focus on boring tasks. And it's not because, oh, they're boring, I don't want to do it. No, it's like our brains physically can't stay on it. Edward had a really good way of putting it earlier, which is it's like trying to put your car into a gear that it doesn't want to stay in, and it keeps trying to pop out, and you just you're jamming it right back into place, like, and the gears are grinding. It's like that, right? But as soon as you add the thing that makes your brain able to stay in that gear, well, then it's effortless, it's smooth. But without it, it's fighting an uphill battle. So yeah, I mean, that's really all I wanted to say. Like, I think that having ADHD fundamentally requires letting go of what works for other people, because, and honestly, sometimes letting go of what worked for you last week, because what worked for you last week, like Edward used to clean with podcasts and that doesn't work for him anymore. Now it's not stimulating enough. that changes all the time. So there's nothing wrong with you. It's just this is the way your brain works. It needs a certain level of stimulation, like all brains need. Ours just doesn't come equipped with it internally, so we have to find it externally. And you just go with it, right? Like there is no should, and you really can't even say should, because it's like, what are you comparing yourself to? I should be able to do it because this person can do it. Well, are you using the same equipment? Like, would you expect your Mac to do the same thing that a PC can do because that PC can do it? What?
Oh, sorry, that's about a PC. I just think a Mac can do it more. Sorry, cutting up.
All right. Well, now we've started a debate of like Mac versus PC. Congratulations. You know what? We're going to get a lot more cleaned. That's day 148.